Okay, we're going to take a look at applying Fillets and Chamfers. And I'm going to mispronounce camphor like 27 times, so you just have to ignore that particular part. Okay, so let's hop over to Fusion 360. Now, Fillets and Chamfers show up in actually a number of different places. You can either apply them in the 2D or in the 3D space. And so we're going to take a look at both of those. So let's start off with a sketch, and let's go with a rectangle. And we're just going to make that guy, let's say 6 by 5. So I got my rectangle. And what I'm going to do is I can then modify this sketch with a couple of different tools. So let's start off with the fillet. So fillet is going to do an arc of a specified radius at the intersection of two lines, or two arcs. So we're going to select the vertex or the two lines or arcs and specify a radius. So fillet is going to round things. So in this case, I want to choose this corner. So I want to pick that line and this line. And then I have the ability to basically set that radius. So for this drawing, we're just going to kind of draw that in, and let's just say 1.25. Okay, so now it's dimensioning from this point here is the radius of that arc. So that's more of the rounded. So while we're still in sketch mode, let's go over and look at chamfer. Now you have three different options. One is where you do equal distance. So you're going to specify a distance. You have a second where it's a distance and an angle. And the second where you do two separate distances. So let's take a look and see how that plays out. So let's go equal distance. So we're going to pick two lines, pick it over here. And then I have the option of picking a distance. And that distance is going to be equal for both lines that we chose. Okay. Now, in this case, you're going to get warnings. Warnings are going to go off all the time because in order to make these modifications and put these features in, you're going to delete previously created constraints. And so it's going to shout at you about that. Okay, so if I just go ahead and hit enter, then it's going to show me this, these two distances, and this is going to be equal distance. So 1.2 from the corner over here and 1.2 from the corner over to there. So let's go ahead and undo that. We're going to do a different one. So instead of equal distance, we're going to pick distance and angle. Now, distance and angle, the verbiage kind of points to which is going to be the distance and which is going to be the angle. So in this case, if I wanted to pick the vertical here, distance and angle, if I pick this line, then I pick this line, I'm going to get the distance with this first line I chose, distance and angle. And then with the second, I'm going to be able to choose the angle that I want that line to be at. So if I do this, if I choose equal distance, it's going to set these two equal, and then I'm going to drag. If I choose distance and angle, it's going to do first the distance on the first line and then the angle. I can still modify both of those. Okay, so let's undo that guy. Last one. So fillet number 3, not fillet, chamfer. Chamfer number 3 is where we have two distance chamfers. So if I'm going to pick here and here, then I can choose those two lines independently. Okay, so I can choose these two lines independently. So what I want you to do is have this shape in place. I would like to see a fillet on one side and then a chamfer on the other, and you can choose how you do that. And then we just want to hit finish sketch. All right, so in the same drawing, I want you to do a second sketch. We'll pick the same face here, and I'm going to do the same bit, and we're going to do a rectangle, and we did 6 by 5 before, so we're going to do 6 by 5 again. So it's going to be the same size. Then I'm going to hit my finish sketch. Come here and view it in this angle here, and then I want to go ahead and extrude that guy out. So once I have that extruded out, now we're going to play with doing the same kind of technique. So here we're in 2D space. So I have both the fillet and then I have the chamfer. Now I'm going to do the same thing with this guy here. So under the modify in kind of this modeling space, I have the same two options. Now, as we click through here, it's going to give you a million options. Well, not a million, just a couple, but some that we don't really need to worry about for the purposes of preparation for the exam. So in this case, I'm going to pick where I want that to go. And then I have the ability to check some different stuff. For the purpose of this thing, let's just stick with constant. And then once I choose that, then I'm going to be able to set this radius value. So this is going to be the same operation-ish, right, that we had in the previous piece. So that is going to be the technique in which we set the fillets. Now, you also have some ability to change tangency weight. For the purpose of this exam, I'm going to not cover that. And then also for corner type. But you can play with these if you want to. You have rolling and setback. And if you go, and as always, if you highlight over, it's going to tell you what these things are. So setback is going to be, it blends rounded corners into adjacent faces, and a rolling ball combines rounded edges at the corner. And then when we talk about tangency weight, you can increase or decrease the scale of tangency weight, which isn't exactly the most helpful definition. You can increase or decrease tangency, but it doesn't tell you what that actually is. So that is the fillet. So I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. Now, same way, I can go ahead and say modify, and I'm going to do a chamfer. I'm going to, let's go around here. So I'm going to kind of flip this guy around. I'm going to pick this line here, and then in the same way, I have the same options: equal distance, to distance, distance and angle. So first two make sense. Let's do the second one. So in this case, I have the ability to change. I can change angle, and I can change distance. All right, so the thing I'm wondering is, and I've actually never wondered this, is in this case, because I've always done I've either done two distances or a equal distance. I wonder how you change that. I guess the angle doesn't matter. Yep, because it's going to be an angle, and then you can choose the distance. All right, so that is fillet and chamfer in both a 2D and 3D environment. So what I'd like to see is a sketch that has both a fillet and a chamfer, and then a 3D object, right, that has the same, basically it has a mirror. It doesn't have to be exactly the same, it should be roughly the same. So go ahead, screen capture that, and then place it in the submission.